Okay, let's do a couple of practice problems on trig. There's 12 of these that we're going to practice today, hoping that with the repetition that we can get better. This worksheet is in our assignment number 41 right here on Google Classroom. You need Desmos available in order to use the trig functions here under the function tab. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. When we're doing these problems, remember that I want you to pause the video and try it, see how you do, and then play the video to see how you did. If you get stuck, maybe you need to watch the first couple and then you can start pausing the video. But the point is that I want you to try to start doing these independently, if at all possible. Okay, so number 1, we're looking at reference angle of 38. And we're noticing that they're asking for the h over here, which is an furthest leg or opposite leg from my reference angle of 38. And they also gave us a hypotenuse of 15. So which trig function uses the opposite over the hypotenuse? Now, by the way, anytime you do trig, I'm hoping that you have the SOHCAHTOA written out somewhere so you can reference it or have your trig notes open. Okay, so this one happens to be the O and the H. This is our sine function. We know that we are using the SO because we have an O and an H. So now we identified that it's the sine. Let's plug into the sine function. Sine of 38 degrees is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Do you see where all those numbers came from? Now we're ready to solve by multiplying both sides by 15 in order to get rid of that denominator. And what you're actually going to plug into your calculator is 15 times the sine of 38. Let's go see what we get. Please make sure you're actually plugging these in yourself and that you know how to get them. I'm getting 9.23 when we round, U for units since no units were given. We're going to use the approximation symbol due to the rounding. How'd you do? Okay, taking a look at the next one, pause the video, try it. Okay, how'd you do? Did you see that this one was also an opposite and a hypotenuse? This is another sine function. So setting up the trig function, sine of 26 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. You're going to multiply both sides by the 8 in order to get rid of that denominator. And so plugging into your calculator, you're going to do 8 times the sine of 26. And we get 3.51. Do you see how I just rounded this one? 3.506 rounds up. And this is our approximately 3.51 answer. And U for units when no units are given. This is an H. Sorry, it looks so weird. There, that's a little bit better. Okay, pause the video, go try the next one, see if you can see which trig function. Okay, how'd you do? Did you notice this one was an adjacent and a hypotenuse? This is our CA, our cosine function. So we go cosine of 49 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Multiply both sides by that denominator of 23. And we get 23 times the cosine of 49 is going to be equal to our x. Let's go see what we get. $15.09. Be careful on this one with that rounding. Some kids wanted to make it 15.1. But we're rounding to 2 decimal places unless told otherwise. And that's a little U for units. So let's go to the next page. Pause the video, try number 4, and see how you do. Okay, did you see that in reference to this 41-degree angle, you've got this adjacent leg and the hypotenuse? Which trig function uses the adjacent and the hypotenuse? Is it my SO, my CA, or my TOA? You got it. It's the cosine. Cosine of 41 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Multiplying by that denominator of 37 to both sides, we get 37 times the cosine of 41, and that's what we're going to go plug in. 37 times the cosine of 41, and we get 27.92 U for units. Okay, let's go try the next one. Pause the video, see how you do. Okay, did you see that this time with our reference angle of 15, we have an opposite and an adjacent leg? Which one used opposite over adjacent? Dun, 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 dun. TOA, no hypotenuse. That's the easiest one, I think, to identify. So we've got a tangent of 15 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. Multiplying both sides by that 38 denominator. What we're actually going to plug into our calculator, 38 times the tan of 15. And we get 10.18. Notice my rounding there with what I actually got in Desmos, and we round to 2 decimal places. Use the approximation symbol because we rounded, and U for units. Pause the video, try the next one. Okay, how'd you do? Did you see this opposite and adjacent? This is a TOA again. So we say tangent of 55 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. Multiplying both sides by the 43, we get 43 times the tangent of 55. And that's what we're going to go plug into our calculator. (43) times the tangent of 55. 61.41 U for units. Pause the video, try the next one. Okay, did you see that this one is another opposite over hypotenuse? It's our sine function. So when I set this one up, you're going to notice this time that the z is in the denominator. So when you have a variable in the denominator, we're going to multiply to bring it up times z to both sides. Z times the sine of 38 equals 15. We're going to now divide both sides by that sine of 38. So z is going to be approximately 15 divided by the sine of 38. We're going to get 9.23 U for units. How'd you do? Okay, next one's got an opposite and a hypotenuse. Another sine function. Let's go sine of 52 degrees is equal to opposite over the hypotenuse. So again, we've got that denominator on the bottom. Pause this video, finish solving it if you didn't already. I want you to try this on your own and see how you did. Okay, check it now. Times z brings the z up. And then don't forget to divide by that sine. So z is approximately 18 divided by the sine of 52. (22.84 U for units). Pause the video, try the last one. Notice we've got an adjacent and a hypotenuse. Did you say cosine? Cosine of 38 is equal to adjacent over the hypotenuse. Are you starting to notice the trick of the dividing? This one is going to be W equal to the 23 over the cosine of 38 after you multiply by the denominator of W and then divide by the cosine. So 23 divided by the cosine of 38 gives me 29.19. U for units. How'd you do? Okay, last three. Pause the video if you haven't yet. You guys are laughing at me. No, Miss Sanchez, I don't want to pause the video. I'm telling you to try it. This one is an adjacent and a hypotenuse again. Did you get cosine? So plugging into the cosine function, cosine of 38 is equal to adjacent over the hypotenuse. Remember that little thing that you're starting to notice, that it's just going to be 15 divided by the cosine. It's almost like the W and the cosine switch places. Oops. Divided by cosine of 38 gives me 19.04. U for units. Okay, this one, reference angle of 15. We have an opposite and we have an adjacent. What uses the O and the A? It's our TOA. So tangent of 15 is equal to opposite over adjacent. Oh, it's one of those. Multiply by the x and then divide by the tan problems. And we're going to get that x is approximately 38 divided by the tangent of 15. 141.82. U for units. Notice my approximation symbol. Last but not least, one of the practices. Pause this video, try it, see how you did. Did you get opposite over adjacent or TOA again? Tangent of 29 is equal to opposite over adjacent. Bring that x up, divide by the tan. And we're getting 91 divided by the tangent of 29 is equal to 164.17. U for units. How'd you do?